age of 6, and they raised the age limit from 16 to 17. The plan also made more people eligible and increased the total credit to $4,000 for one qualifying individual and $8,000 for 2 more. Oh, remember the unemployment insurance? Republicans, remember Lindsey Graham? They stopped increasing unemployment insurance in South Carolina. The American Rescue Plan extended unemployment benefits until September 6th with a weekly supplement benefit of $300 on top of the regular $400. And the first $10,200 of unemployment benefits were tax-free for people with incomes less than $150,000. Khadija, the last point is this here. John Hope Bryan was on our show. He also reminded people the earned income tax credit is retroactive. So if you forgot to actually get it, you can go back and get it applied to your taxes. None of that happened because of Republicans. So for the folk who say, man, our pockets have been empty with Biden, y'all didn't forget, y'all sure wasn't hell complaining about that money.
Absolutely, they were not. And there's so much more that this administration has done. If you think about the last 30 years, this administration has helped to put forward more Black entrepreneurs than any other administration in the last 3 decades. There's 2.6 million more jobs for Black folks in this time. And so if we are trying to actually, as the previous speaker mentioned, this is voting is a business decision. This is absolutely a business decision for you and your family. And if you are trying to put more money in your pockets and not allow for your tax dollars to go to the rich and those who are highly favored by the Republican Party, then you need to make sure that you are casting your ballot this November or before, if you can do that.
This is the last round of questions and answers before I got to go to my final guest. So Jolanda, I'm going to go to you first. We're talking about Black turnout. 1983, 85% of all eligible Black people voted for Harold Washington to become the first Black mayor of Chicago. The white racists in Chicago supported the Republican candidate in a hardcore Democratic city because they didn't want to see a Black man win. If 85% of all eligible Black people voted, I don't know who the hell the other 15% were. He doesn't become mayor unless they vote. Andrew Young said at the Alpha Public Program last year at the convention in Dallas that I moderated the conversation, when he ran for Congress, and it was in 72 or 74, he got 72% of all eligible Black people who were registered to vote voted. The facts are clear. If Black people vote at least 65, but let's say 70. If we vote 65 to 70% of our capacity, we can sweep elections. Because if they're going to be voting here and we vote here, that additional 20, 30, 50, 75, 100,000 votes, that's the difference between winning and losing. And so literally, the power is in the hands of Black people. Somebody on Twitter got mad. I said yesterday, I don't care what white folks gonna do, Latinos gonna do, what women gonna do. What I'm saying to Black people, if we literally use that ballot and vote our capacity, we can sweep racists, whoever we want to win.
Absolutely. Here, Black people are the Democrats that determine who wins. So they determine which white person wins and which Hispanic person wins. People just don't understand that. And as I've said before, the world is run by those who show up. So it could be a city with 1 million people. If 500 people show up, then the majority of those people are going to decide what happens to us with the million. And there's a reason why they are, the powers that be, Donald Trumps of the world, are suppressing our vote. And I will say this is Black people. You hear people talking about all the time trying to get Black people the right to vote if they lose it when they get elected. Here in Texas, if you are a convicted felon like Donald Trump, you literally do not have the right to vote. And if you are on paper, you do not have the right to vote. So in Texas, Donald Trump, if he lived in Texas, couldn't even vote for himself. And then you can't get a job, you can't get an apartment, you don't qualify for certain things. I don't think that we should let Donald Trump be able to do what we can't do. If we go to apply for a job, we have a felony on our record. If we go apply for an apartment and we have a felony on our record, we don't get stuff. So we need to try to do to Donald Trump what the system does to us, because that is what it was designed to do. But black people, we have the power. But I'm going to say this again, Roland. We've got to connect for people.
Yes.
People just don't know. They don't know
Absolutely.
that government are the ones who put the sidewalk around Kelly Courts, you know, in Houston, which is a North Side Section 8 place. They don't understand that they put lights in Law Park in Sunnyside where they were dumping dead bodies and crime was taking place. They don't understand that. They don't understand like your parents did in Clinton Park. But I will tell you, politicians pay attention to two things. The first thing they pay attention to is people with money. Most of us don't have money like that. The second thing that they pay attention to is what you said, Roland, and the other gentleman said. They pay attention to people who are organized and who vote.
And guess what?
So,
Votes trumps money.
Absolutely.
you know what? You're right. You know what? Because I will
Right.
say this. People can contribute a lot to your campaign, but they can't vote for you. And I was literally talking to Representative Allen, and we're both representatives, and we're talking about people that had a whole bunch of money, like more money than us. And you know what we do? I literally went to Isaac Elementary School yesterday. I was the only elected official that showed up myself, because they want extracurricular activity. They want a performing arts center. And they were so thankful that I showed up and that I listened to what they want. And I told them, I will try to help you get this performing arts center.
Yep.
That's what we have to do. So now they've connected this elected official to, oh, we can get a performing arts center and we can learn ballet.
There you go.
Very simple things, right?
And there
that's
you
what
go.
we gotta do.
And for everybody who's watching in Texas, before I let Yolanda go to my iPad, Henry. Folks, Texas has the largest number of eligible black voters in America at 2.9 million. 2.9 million. That's eligible black voters. I didn't say black population. That's eligible
Right.
black voters. So, folks, if you do the math, and you talk about if you have 70% of black people in Texas, that's 2 million votes alone.
2.9.
No, it's 2.9 million. I said, but we vote at 70% of our capacity.
Okay. Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
here's the whole deal, y'all. Here's the whole deal. Let me see here. Ted Cruz, Beto ran against
Cruz.
Ted
And he ran against Abbott as well.
Ted Cruz beats Beto. I just want to see the vote total. Hold on one second. Vote total. So right here, the vote total was Cruz 4.2 million, Beto 4 million. If we voted at 7% of our capacity, we alone deliver half of the votes needed to win. But guess what? Makes it harder if we vote at 30%. 40%. That's how the game changes. Representative Jelana Jones, I appreciate it. Michael, your final comment.
This is a fantastic conversation. You talked about the American Rescue Plan. Rolling two quick things. Number one, no Republicans in the House or the Senate voted for the American Rescue Plan. We have to drive home that point. The only reason why that got passed is because of Democrats. One, two, Vice President Kamala Harris was the top-ranking vote in this. It was 50-50. She was the top-ranking vote. So all these people out here saying Vice President Kamala Harris hasn't done anything, the reason why you got those $1,400 stimulus checks plus was because of that black woman. Call it whatever you want to, but that's why you got them. And you're at whitehouse.gov, Roland. Fantastic website. Everybody look at, and Roland, if you could bring this up quickly, the Biden-Harris administration advances equity and opportunity for black Americans and communities across the country. I refer to that oftentimes. That's a 36-page document at whitehouse.gov that breaks down category by category how the policies of the Biden-Harris administration are helping the African-American community. Republicans overwhelmingly voted against these policies or are against them and will reverse them if they get back control of the White House, the Senate, and keep control of the House of Representatives. Elections have consequences.
Michael, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Niambi.
No, I was going to say, you were talking about what Black people voting at the capacity can do. I mean, we see Wes Moore in Maryland, right? I mean, he's the only Black governor currently serving. Maryland, 1 in 3 voters in the state of Maryland is Black, right? And it was because 80% of the Black vote said that they were going to turn Wes Moore, and did, because only about half of white voters were going to turn out for him. So it actually does matter, and it particularly matters at the margins. Like when you show in Texas, you're talking about a few 100,000 votes, which seems like a lot, but it's really not. So we're not talking about massive blowouts in a lot of these cases. We're talking about thousands of votes, in some cases handfuls, as we saw in the presidential election. So, I mean, I think part of the issue we have, again, I go back to Jesse Jackson, is that you had people not mobilized and people who were left kind of out of the equation. And then when you looked up, it's like, we need those people. We waited too late. And then the election is over.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate it. Let me now go to, let's see here, Kanita.
A lot of election deniers that are currently sitting in our state legislatures, and that is something that we should all be considering in this moment. I look at the Black vote here in Pennsylvania in 2022 and the rate in which we showed up to the polls to ensure that we have our first Black woman Speaker of the House in our state legislature, also ensure we have a Black man as our lieutenant governor. And so the power of the Black vote can do incredible things if we come out in record numbers. In Pennsylvania, we need to come out at the 70% number that you mentioned. Roland, we were 67% in 2020, and so we need to make sure that we vote at more record numbers here, and the youth must come out and cast a ballot. And unfortunately, if you have 4 grandchildren, the likelihood is only one of those 4 are registered to vote. So let's get the children involved, let's get the young folks involved, and let's get everybody to the polls.
Absolutely. Close us out, Gary.
You know, I live in the 50th ranked state in the nation, and it is the second blackest state in America. When I ran for Congress, 18% of the population showed up in the second congressional district here in Louisiana, which at the time was the only Black congressional district. Because Black folks thought we're going to get a second Black congressional district rooted out of Baton Rouge, which gives us another seat in Congress for somebody to go and fight for millions of dollars for the people of Louisiana. There are other states that are getting more representation. That is going to be transformative for your community only if you vote, though. It doesn't happen because of osmosis. It doesn't happen because we hope it gets better, because we pray it gets better. Faith without works is dead, and faith ain't foolish. If you ain't getting off your tail, go do something, it's not going to happen. And for those of us who sacrifice from our families and go out there and do this work every day, you spit in our faces when you tell us you're not going to vote, because we sacrifice every day and go out here and do this work. And so if you appreciate the work that I do, if you appreciate the work that Roland does, if you appreciate the voices that you've heard and the things that we are consistently doing to advocate, don't spit in our face and tell us that you're not going to participate, because too many of us are out here every day doing things we don't have to do on your behalf for all of us. And all you got to do is go around the corner and cast a ballot. Do your part so that we can all do better.
Absolutely. So just trying to let folk know.